Hey, each and everybody, and welcome to another Smoke and Mirrors. This episode is brought to you by Free Speech. Free Speech. Facebook could use some. Also brought to you by Censorship, just for reasons. Anyway, here's a song for the day. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. If you think, once again, that I'm actually going to sing on any day that we have a vocalist here with us, you're out of your fucking mind. Okay, what else do we do? I think that's is that everything that we do before we start the show? I think that's what we do. Okay, and now here they are, your invenerable host, Carlos Harim Wyndham. It's been a minute. We'll talk about it. All right. There's your glockenspiel. Not going to be a big smoking show today. Glad to see you all again. I've missed you. And haven't been able to be here with you for a minute because of things. We'll get into that in just a second. First, if you would, you are now here at Smoke and Mirrors, and we love having people who like and subscribe. You can do that at the places this is being watched. That includes YouTube and Facebook. And if you really, really, really love it, there are so many ways you can support that are absolutely free. Beyond that, among which would be sharing it to whomever you like. It's a good item to share to your haters as well. And if you absolutely love it and insist on dropping 5 on it, there are 3 places you could do that. You could do that at the Venmo at Carlos-Wyndham. You could do that at Cash App, $CK Wyndham, PayPal /me.CK Wyndham. And if you want to become a patron of the arts, as have so many of the members whose names you see scrolling across the screen, too many to say at this point. Thank you all. Know that the last ones on the list are the most recent members of the Patron Society. You do that at Patreon at Smoke and Mirrors CCB. We try to make it a little bit easier for you to remember that CCB is for comedy, culture, and for blackness. Comedy, culture, and blackness. Smoke and Mirrors CCB at Patreon.com. I hope to see you there, or not, or do if you want, whichever. It's good. Hi. So it's been a second. I hope you have a warm bevy. Today is Tuesday, and so you know what that is. If you are here with us as any level of regular, those are the days we are having interviews beneath the philosopher's tree. So we are excited for what's going to be coming down the pike in just a second here. A couple bits of business before I bring them on. As I said, I know that because you've made me very aware of it in the chats and the comments. So thank you for your precipitation. Some of you, especially the youngs, I consider that to be anybody under 30, I don't know what to tell you, have brought to my attention that you wish that I were smoking more or faster, or that was maybe the point of what's happening here. None of that is it. None of that is it. It's just, I don't know. It's not what it is. And so we do that on occasion when we are here with guests for whom that is their proclivity. Often, though, we're just having talks because talks are great. So if that is what's happening for you and you find it too disturbing to just have talks with emotion and depth and facts and nonsense and bullshit, then there's a whole selection over for you at YouTube if it's just my face you came for. And if it's neither and you just hate it here, I'm sorry. I don't know. Oh, I didn't get to be here with you for a while, and you know this. I hated it. I didn't like it. A couple things happened. Mostly, this is that I was blocked from Facebook. The account was restricted. Wasn't allowed to be there. Hey, Raven, we see you there going on there. See you, my friend. Yeah. Yeah, your girl couldn't be here because Facebook said Auntie broke a rule of some level of I don't know community standard. It was this. You see it on your screen now. It was because I broke a community standard. It says that right on top, and then you see on the screen big letters, right? This clear bullshit. COVID is not natural. It was created and released intentionally. See what it did now. That was a repost. If you look just above that, what you're going to see is what I actually wrote, which was to the person who had posted that in the first place, and you blocked. Talk to your friends. Your ignorance is spreading at an alarming rate. And for doing that and suggesting that this person can't be on my page or in my feed spreading the bullshit, and I said it in my feed, you quoting them. I was in Facebook jail with the former president of the United States for another 7 days. It smells like hot bologna in there. Oh, Mark Zuckerberg. Anyway, freedom of speech, all that good stuff. Said the things. We'll take one more here. We're going to bring on our guest, Raven. Happy to see you here. Anybody else who wasn't here a second ago, letting you know, going to be, as usual, on Tuesdays, light smoking, heavy conversational day. We're here under the Philosopher's Tree. Got to find a better platform, honestly. I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to figure out how to migrate more people over to Facebook. There's also the possibility of doing it on Twitch. And then I'm an old. So I don't even know what that really means. But fuck Zuckerberg. All right, one more hit, and then we're going to bring on our guest. Fire up your colored teenies if you got them. And if you don't worry about it, because that's not the main event, as you know. Our guest under the Philosopher's Tree today is a friend of mine and somebody who I consider myself very lucky to call so, because the level of commitment to community, the numbers of doors opened to Portland's black community, and the role that they continue to play in youth development, in black culture, and in faith leadership in this here city of Portland, Oregon. It continues to be amazing to me. Executive director of Bravo Youth Orchestra. Please welcome beneath the Philosopher's Tree, my friend Alonozo Chadwick Sr. Please welcome him into the tree right now. There he is. Hey, family.
Hello, my friend. Hello, my friend.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm here.
You're here, right? I did it again with opening with "How are you?" as though that's not a loaded question. What I meant to say is, it's wonderful to see your face moving and talking in real time. It's great to see you.
Absolutely. You as well. You as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. What's your day been like today? What's been going on this fine day? What's it been like to be a day in the life of my friend Alonzo?
Oh man, today was eventful. Um, I'm sure we'll get into this a little later, but I am newly a month in on my new role at Bravo Youth Orchestra, um, and so it's been a lot to navigate. And of course, this is my first time being an executive director, so there's a lot uh, of things that I'm responsible for that I'm not used to being responsible for. And so it's been a lot to navigate for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. So today was eventful. I will say eventful would be my word.
Okay. All right. Well, we want to make sure you stay doing that. What are you noticing as some of the challenges that the challenges that are opportunities, right? Not the challenges that are like, oh my god, what have I done? But the like, oh okay, this gonna be some work. This gonna be some work.
Yeah, everyone who knows me knows I'm transparent. So um, the challenge is that I am coming in as a black executive director to a mostly white run organization,
Mm,
and although their mission is to center students of color and our BIPOC communities, um, it's been done with kind of a different lens or a lens that's not necessarily culturally responsive, and so I've been coming in to kind of shine the light to say, what are we doing and why are we doing it this way? And
right.
there's not the correct way. Let's do it this way. And so they've been open though, and I feel like I've gotten a lot of support in it. But again, it's been eventful because it's a lot of work for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you came into this, you said you've been in it for a month now.
Yeah,
Damn.
May 5th was my 1 month anniversary. So yeah,
Yeah.
brand new. Brand new.
It's wild because have they had black leadership at all prior?
No,
Yeah.
no, and they're a fairly young organization. They're only 8 years old,
Okay.
and only recently really grew and expanded a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, um, the purpose of the organization is really to their mission statement, or our mission statement, I should say, is to create social change through music. And so, but targeting the black and brown community and the indigenous community, and really just making sure that we're providing opportunities for these students to be able to learn and play professional orchestra um, type music. So it's been interesting to kind of see how incredibly awesome the program is. But again, when you get into this genre of music,
Mm.
most of the professionals are not black. They
Mm.
are
Mm.
so they're mostly white, and so sometimes you have incredible musicians, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily teachers. And sometimes you have incredible musicians, but that doesn't mean that they know how to teach black and brown students. And so really helping to shine a light to say, hey, there are definitely opportunities here for everybody to dig a little deeper. And so um, I can attribute, a lot of the work that I'm doing now to sitting kind of under your tutelage and others of the great work that I learned, while doing a lot of the racial equity work,
Mm.
that we've all done together. So it really has been an eventful opportunity to say, hey, um, I know you're not aware that your whiteness is showing, but it's definitely showing. And so, how do we how do we navigate this to make sure that we're creating a great opportunity um, that's helpful and not harmful to students of color?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. That. Thank you for the compliment. I mean, you did as did a lot of the folks with whom we had the opportunities to collaborate. in developing opportunities for Black and Brown community, and in particular BIPOC community who are from Portland and generations deep, to begin to not just surface these conversations, right? Because obviously, brown and Black folks is always talking about white people. Y'all, we have to. There's no getting through
Yeah,
this if we don't, right? But to
yeah,
talk about, like, okay, so how do we challenge these folks and these systems, right? Beyond just talking to them or whatever. And it was an opportunity that I certainly felt blessed to be trusted with as much as anything else. Um, as you talking about orchestra music, right? What something that occurs to me is the what feels to me like the innate challenge in dealing with orchestra music, right? It's for one part the invaluable lessons around mathematics, around pitch, around cooperation, around group learning. It's the same levels of team building, right, that a lot of folks talk about with sports, and certainly training, right? Learn your instrument, learn your craft, and there is a dual reality with a lot of the music, which is that it is not just European based. Often it's colonialist musics, and to be at this stage, for measures of learning, it makes one a great deal of sense, right? And yet, at this stage, to be continuing to play what is considered classical music and think that from that what we produce as musicians,
hmm,
for me, seems challenging. And then add to that the cultural component, and I wonder how you're embracing that challenge as well, because I know that your own musical expression goes far beyond being limited to one stylistic expression, right? And so I'm wondering how that translates for you now in this new role as executive director, especially as you're working with young people.
yeah. That's a great question, and I will say that um, I, earlier I answered your question that said they have not had any black leadership, and that's not all the way accurate. I will
Okay.
say there's not been any black leadership as far as running it or running the organization, but there are black musicians and teaching artists that are that are working with
Yeah.
students, and they do expose the students to different genres in this orchestra world. And so there's a program called El Sistema, which is based out of Venezuela, and it's kind of like the overarching cohort that all of the different programs across the United States and some internationally that are branched out of this um, program that really teaches students the classical music. So there are Cuban renditions, there are Latina renditions, there are African renditions. So there's multiple different genres within the classical world that I will
Yeah.
say they have done a great job of exposing students to. So that was something I was concerned about coming in was,
Mm-hmm.
man, how is this going to feel coming into a space where I'm used to exposing to all different genres of and styles of music, and to know that maybe students might be restricted to this one very white Eurocentric based type of music that is being taught. But then as I've come in and have been learning, they have been exposed to a lot more, and are getting opportunities um, to play different styles. And somewhat some of the students are even getting the opportunity to say, hey, I want to help create, or I want to help compose or arrange. And so even that's been an opportunity that students have been able to explore as well.
Oh, that's excellent.
So it hasn't been as challenging that I thought it would be.
Good.
So
Yeah.
I think I'm doing that in that way for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the end of the day, right? Like the it's an experiential learning opportunity for young people to be involved. I would imagine. What's the age range of the young people who are there?
So there's multiple programs. I think when they started with just second or third grade.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those students are now sophomores in high school. So they've actually expanded it. And then I know that there are other elements where they're even starting to expose students even as early as Head Start pre-K to different instruments and allowing them just to feel, hold instruments and play and kind of explore and even get like very minimal lessons. So it goes from early childhood all the way up into high school for right now.
Yeah. That's tight. That's hella tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, no, and it's. I'm glad that you also addressed that thing of what it means to be the first black executive director, right? Because executive directorship is a very different thing, as you saying, than like directing the band, being the favorite teacher, or anything like that. And yeah, I hope as things go forward that they continue being able to work with you in a way that is both deferential and that does not assume you the role of a bagger Vance for their organization. That it's
Exactly. Yeah, and I'll say that again, the board as well as even the leadership have been very open and supportive
good.
to
That's great.
uh, and what I've been able to do is already kind of use the executive power that I possess to say, hey, there's definitely some training that we need to make sure that we're implementing, and there's definitely some things that we need to implement to make sure that we're safeguarding um, staff as well as students and families to ensure that we are making sure that what we say we do we're being integral about and not just being another one of those organizations that say, hey, we serve kids of color in by words, but in action that's not the case. And so um, in the interview process, when they interviewed me, I was very transparent, saying, if this is a tokenism thing, I'm not your guy because if you that's what you were looking for, then I promise you're going to be very disappointed. I'm going to be disappointed. It isn't going to work well. But if you're really looking to really create the change and implement the leadership that you're seeking, um, then I'm up for the challenge. As long as you all are open to my ideas and suggestions, and yeah, and we can definitely have conversations about all the many ways that we can attempt to do that. So they've been true to the word so far. So I'm very excited about that they
That's
have
tight.
given me that authority.
That's tight. There's a crew of y'all, man, that was in that same thing that are really starting to make some moves. Kelly Shaw's over there at Home Forward now doing it. Same
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing. Same interview, same kind of thing. Just like, look, you can hire me if you want to. I mean, that's on you, I guess. And like let them know, like I will shake it up. I will shake it up. And yeah, that's wonderful. That's
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
So the first time that I came, that you came into my awareness, and there are many different times, but the first I can remember, uh, you were still in the Red Door Project, and I was absolutely blown away, uh, in particular by the one act that you did as a part of that. Can you uh, explain first what it is, and then we can talk about it a little bit? Whatever
Yeah.
is,
So
was, whichever.
yeah. So ironically, Kevin Jones, who's the executive director of Red Door Project, reached out to me and said, "Hey, I got this piece that I'm putting together. I'd love to have you come and do a reading." And I was like, "So you do know I don't act? Like I sing. I don't. I'm not an actor." And he's like, "I think you'd be great. I want you to come and do a reading for me." And I was like, "Okay." And so I showed up. We did the reading, and he actually wanted me for a different one of the monologues.
Hmm.
And so he didn't like the way I read for one of the other ones, and he's like, "I think you'd actually be perfect for superior fantasy." Superior fantasy. And so I was like, "Okay." I mean, I don't know what that is, but sure, let's do it. But let me reiterate to you that I am not an actor, and so I have no idea. I just read this reading to you, and I'm looking at how long this is, and I'm going, "Do you really expect me to learn and memorize all all of this?" And he was like, "Yeah, I think you could do it." And I'm like, "Oh man, this is going to be really insane." Because again, I am a singer. I'm not an actor, and so he actually worked with me. He worked with me for a couple of weeks, really helping me to learn the monologue and teaching me kind of very impromptu, very quick tips to learn the monologue quickly. Because what they had done previous years is they every year they had did what they called the August Wilson monologue competition for high schoolers. And so this particular year they had taken a break from that, and so they were like, "We'll just do this play for a weekend, and and we'll be done, and that'll be what we do this year instead of doing the monologue competition." And so um, they got us prepared, and we read for it, and it became very, very challenging in that process because
Hmm.
as I really started really identifying with the monologue that I had, it became really evident that this is really my story. Like this is not just me reading a script. This is actually my story. Like
Hmm.
this is my actual experience here in Portland,
Hmm.
um, and with his help, really teaching me to tap into that vulnerability and tapping back into those emotions and that trauma that I experienced and felt back then. Um, it was a lot. So it was a lot emotionally and mentally, and getting ready for that. And so, like you, many were surprised when they found out you doing what? Like you're acting, and I'm like, yeah. And then they're like, okay, well, that'd be interesting to see. We did the first show, and there were 25 people in the audience. Um, and so he organically said, I don't want to do promotion or publicity about it. I just wanted to grow my word of mouth. And so the next weekend, there was about 75 to 100 people in the audience.
Hmm.
And then by that last weekend, which I actually didn't even perform in the last weekend because I had a prior engagement. So, but the last weekend, they were at ART downtown and it was packed. And so
Wow.
they couldn't even, they had to turn people away. And so, and that was it. It was only supposed to be 3 weekends. We did it. And it was designed that we did this performance. I really love the approach that Kevin took in the beginning of each thing that said, this is not about your agreement. This is just about you sitting and listening to the stories of seven Black people telling you their experience with police brutality and whatnot. And so um, it was very interesting to see how people respond. And even afterwards, the talkbacks sometimes were very problematic because you got a bunch of white people who are struggling with what they just witnessed and trying to grapple with the reality that this may be real, more real than we thought it was,
Yeah.
um, and so it was interesting. But from there, we were done, and we all kind of went about our way. And then Kevin came back and said, "Hey, there's a couple of uh, organizations that want to fund us to keep doing this because of how." I mean, it's basically doing equity work for different people. It's causing them to have conversations, and so we're getting funded. And who's on board to keep doing it? And I was
Hmm.
like, I'm game. Let's. And so we did, and we continued the play, and now they've taken it and grown it and evolved it into this whole. where they're now preparing to travel nationally to go perform it in other places and so forth. Of course, it got too busy for me to stay a part of it,
Yeah.
um, but I enjoyed the opportunity and I enjoyed kind of where it led me in the conversations that it caused me. Um, I don't want to say forced me, but kind of really navigated me into certain conversations. One being with a police captain here in Portland who was really moved by my monologue, and his words were, "That was really a great piece that you did. You know, you acted incredibly." And I was like, "Yeah, but that's actually my story." He was like, "Here in Portland?" Yes, sir. That this is my story here in Portland, and I am a native of well, not really, but I've been here since I was 5, so I'm a native of Portland. And this has happened to me starting at 12 all the way up until my 30s. A lot of what I said in my monologue, 80% of that was actual real life experiences that have happened to me in Portland by Portland police.
Yeah.
And and he wanted to meet. He said, "Can we go sit down and have coffee?" And we did. And it was a very interesting conversation.
Hmm.
He brought a rookie cop with him, and we sat there and had a nice dialogue outside of Starbucks, where I was being dismissed by many white people who kept coming up and giving them gift cards because that was the week that Alton Sterling, Orlando Castile, and then at the end of that week, Dallas or the police officers in Dallas that were shot. So white people were coming up and giving them gift cards saying thank you for your service and literally not even acknowledging my presence. So it was very interesting. And we talked about that during that conversation too. So
Wow. Well,
yeah.
and it only took until 2020 for white people to en masse discover that racism is actually real and maybe it even exists here in Portland. So
Exactly.
yeah, no, the patience to be able to sit there, my friend, and deal with them police like that. Like I don't. As soon as I see that like thick neck steroid cop look walking toward me, like, can we talk? Like, no, that's I don't believe that's what you're gonna want to do by the time we're done. But yeah, man, I just the appreciation and respect that I have for you to be able to hold that down um, is immense. You know, and I know it's not without a cost. I know from when I had the strength to deal with that kind of a thing. Um, you know what how you can end up carrying that with you and in your body for some period of time after the
Yeah.
conversations, right? And especially the things that you don't say because you can't because it's not safe. And yeah, it's a real challenge navigating trying to figure out how to. I don't know. It's one of the reasons I think that for me it got to a point of like in those kind of conversations realizing that that framework of courageous conversations just is it doesn't get it. I got
Mhm.
even nervous for you when you're talking about talk back. I don't know if I need white people talking back to me. That's they've had their turn.
Yeah. Well, I will say this though. If I had not have gone through the cohort with you all, I would not have known how to navigate conversations like that.
Mm,
And I can really attribute it to that. Like, I think the first time I came to a training and got to see you kind of in action, and I watched you like literally like go in your words, go to the heat. And I was like, he just called white people out, like in front of a bunch of white people. And ain't nobody rioting. Like, I mean, it was literally like sitting there in disbelief. Like, we can do that? That's
mm,
possible. Like, I mean, and then after that, kind of getting to see it more regularly and kind of in multiple trainings that we did and went to and got to kind of co-facilitate together and getting to see that
yeah,
really did help me to navigate and be able to have um, difficult conversations and be able to say, yeah, so I hear what you're saying, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to accept it, and it doesn't mean that I'm going to, agree.
yeah,
But I mean, you're entitled to your thoughts and your feelings, but just know that I don't have to accept that as my truth, or and I don't have to be afraid to speak my truth and call out what I see happening here. And you all did an amazing job of training us to be able to do that. So that's really what has prepared me for all of the journeys that I've gone through since going through that cohort. Is that it has really prepared me to have difficult conversations, not just about race, but just in general. Like be able to have hard conversations and still walk away and say, "Well, that was hard," but I said what I needed to say. They either love me or they hate me, but we said it. Like we had the conversation, and it
Yeah.
is what it is. So, and
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that. I'm very grateful for that.
Well, thank you. I mean, and I got to say that I know that it's wonderful to hear, and more than that, it does my soul good knowing that you, by setting your own boundaries, by calling in, calling out the people that you need to find your own way, um, end up doing the same thing, right? Like we never know where our words land, how far they'll go, right? We never know how far our words can carry. And you've got platform and you've got voice and you use it very well. And watching you, um, having been doing everything that you've been doing in the time that I've known you, I mean, that's just, I know that it means a lot to the community. And I know that the community continues to go through a lot and continues to go through a lot that is both at the hands of uh, the police with the tacit, if not open, permission of the mayor, um, and that's something that you are equally as involved in. How What is your take on this stage of reopening and how it's impacting many of the most impacted in Portland's black communities right now?
Man, I don't. I think it's for me. It's been very challenging, and it's been very challenging because before I came to this new organization, I was, a manager at SEI, and my role mostly was overseeing the programs that directly served our families and our communities. And I don't think I've ever been that boggled down with so much grief and stress and anxiety that families had about um, death that was just kind of running rampant in everyone's family. I mean, there was just so many different. Every time I turned around, there was a coworker or a family member or a relative who was grieving because somebody close to them had just lost their lives. Um, Not being able to even have a funeral, for their family member because you can't gather, and not being able to be at the hospital with them when they had their last breaths because you weren't allowed to be. I mean, there was just so much trauma that was happening during that time. And so for me, there's a lot of anxiety that I have
Mm.
personally.
Mm.
And then I know there's a lot of anxiety that many others have in the community that they're just trying to figure out. I mean, one, how real and how safe is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
How are we and this new normal that we're going back to, or is it the old normal, or like what is it? And that's the challenge. And seeing how our kids are impacted, even my own kids. Like I'm like, yeah, y'all not going back to school. Like, no, you're not going back. You're gonna stay doing distance learning. But my kids coming to me literally like and advocating like I've taught them to do, and saying that we want to go to, like we don't want to. We're tired of being stuck in the house. We're tired of
Wow.
being on the screen, and we want to go to school. We don't want to not be at school. And I'm going, sheesh, like what? How do I even that? I mean, there's just
Wow.
so many concerns and fears and anxieties that you have navigating it. I got vaccinated, um, but the concern is my kids aren't, and so
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know how is this going to work and how safe is this and so forth. So I would say I'm very torn on the matter. Like I'm just very torn, and I don't know that people are being safe, and people even are understanding the harm and the risk that are out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's hard, especially again when you've seen so many people who have said or who have lost their loved ones, and
Yeah.
including me. Like so, there's just a lot of concern and fear that I have. Just that, um, yeah, everyone doesn't take it as serious as it probably should be taken.
Yeah. I mean, and it's hard, right? Because that's true. It, I don't know. I mean, I know folks who are they're on the front lines. They're the people who more than anybody else really, really, really need to be taking this seriously. And there's a lot more weight or a different weight than I would place, I think, on um, emotional impacts over scientific truths of the moment that we're in, and this question of whether or not you could manage to navigate this next 4 months until everybody can get vaccinated, and then those who are unwilling to get vaccinated either way, which is so disconcerting for me because I'm just like, are you listening to like Dr. Joseph Rogan? Who are we talking to get this information?
Yeah.
It is startling to me, and we're watching measles march back and polio march back, and it's like, do y'all need diphtheria before you start believing in this again? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing as a collective? I'm lost. I'm lost. I'm doing the best I can. Very much the same situation. My child is not at school right now, but they also are very clear. Like, I'm not. Nope, I'm good. Not yet. Not yet. I think once they could get a vaccine, my shit might change drastically on me. Like, get away from me,
Yeah.
Papa. Uh,
Absolutely.
well, listen. Before we get out of here, I want to talk to you about creation, right? And just your process of creating. I know we were talking about the first time I came across you was on that stage with the project, with the Red Door project, and I know that the idea of those talkbacks, there's weight with that, right? There needs to be some thought given to that for the care of the actors who already have to bear their souls going through such a thing, right? To then have white people talking back at them with whatever they have to say or think or feel at a moment. But before that, and long before that, you had been singing, which incredible. And clearly, as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's your first thing. Okay, I see. Um, how long have you been singing? Your whole life? What tell me.
Yeah. So, man, I think I've been singing for, yeah, I want to say the first time I remember singing was first grade,
Mm,
um, that I can remember. And I remember first grade, my teacher at the time picking me to do the solo for the Christmas or winter concert that we were having.
right.
And it's so funny to me every time I think about this story. I still remember it like clear as day, and I remember that I was fearless. Like I had no fear. I was so excited. Like I can't wait to get on the stage.
See.
And we made our little paper mache, little get ups, and had our little king hats and princess hats and so forth, and we're on the stage in our whole get up. And my mom bought me the little, gray vest with the little clip on black tie. And and I stood up and I remember I started singing. And I remember that when I got done, um, the response of the audience was just kind of like captivating to me. I mean, they
Mm.
screamed and cheered and stood up, and I remember in that moment going,
Yes.
"Oh man, I don't know what it's gonna take, but I got to do this. Like I want to do this more." And then after that, I didn't sing. I mean, I didn't do any music anymore.
Hmm.
And again, until I can remember was around the age of 12 was when we first started going to church, and that's when I heard black gospel music and singing, and so and it just brought back those memories. Like, oh yeah, this is what I remember. I remember that feeling, and so I was very excited, but I didn't. I wasn't in the front. I was in the back. Nobody knew I could even sing. Um, and in truth, I have many friends that can attest to this. I didn't have the voice that I have today. Like I was one of those that I had what we call the lamb's vibrato. Like I was just really, I didn't sing on the level that I do now. And I remember going into high school, went to Jeff. I was in, that's when it was actually a performing arts high school that
Mm-hmm.
had the full, singing and choir and theater and dance and I mean, and not after school, like during the school day, and it was
Right.
accredited. Like that was what we did. And I hated school, but I went every day because I knew I got to go perform. I got to, and that was my release. It was my outlet. It was my play, my safe space. Like all
Hmm.
kind of BS was going on in my life, all kind of drama, hardships in our family and community. And so it was like this is my place that I can come to, that I get to escape and
Yeah.
be engulfed in this world of music and composition and different genres and styles and so forth. Um, and then after high school, I moved to California for a year, and it was a very trying time. I basically was running. I had just had my first daughter,
Hmm.
and I hadn't been a father, and I'd never had a father, so I didn't know the first thing about being a dad. I was freaked out about the idea that I'm getting ready to be a dad. I'm going to screw this kid's life up. I can't be a dad, and I got to get out of here. And I just did. I just jumped in my car and moved to California and just ran. Um, and it was a very rough year being away, and I had a lot of aha moments. And then when I came back, I remember I came back and I went to a service or something, and someone said, "Oh, Alonzo's here. Alonzo, come up and sing." And I started singing, and everyone was like, "What happened to your voice?" And I was going, "What y'all trying to say? Y'all trying to say I couldn't sing before? Like, I don't. What do you mean? I sound okay." They were like, "No, like, yo, something happened. Like, what happened?" And I'm like, I don't know what you all are talking about. I feel
Mm.
like I'm doing what I've always done. They're like, no, something's different. And it took me many years to discover that I was really on a journey during that time. And it
Mm-hmm.
did, I found out a lot about myself. I found out a lot about, my faith. And so it was kind of like when I did come back, I was a different person and a different
Mm-hmm.
individual.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
appearing to everyone else, they could hear it in my voice versus I'm thinking I sound the same that I've always sounded.
Hmm.
Um, and from that till now, like, I mean, it's just been a journey of discovery and opportunity and music and singing and that has just evolved into what it is today. And I'm very grateful for the gift and I'm very grateful for the platforms that it has allowed me to go on and for allowing that to be a platform that I use to scream about social justice and things that matter to me about my community. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that door that opens up for me to get in and everybody and I'll say this, if there's one thing that white people love, they love a black person that can sing. And so
Listen.
it's like
Listen.
when they call on me, they're like, "Hey, can you come and sing at this?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then I come and they are very grateful for having me there. And then conversations start. And then I'm like, "Oh, well, since we're here and we're having the conversation, let's talk about that. And let's talk about what I do in my community and what I'm passionate about." And so it has really afforded me a great opportunity to use that platform to really, talk about things that really are very passionate to me.
Yeah. Blessing, blessing. You just saw my eyes flitting because you getting some testimonials in the chats. Oh my God, for reals, and hand claps from family, all kinds of good stuff happening up in there. Yeah, yeah. Your folks see you. Your folks see you. Uh, yeah. Thank you for sharing about that. I know one of the things that when I first saw you sing, and which is where my question came from, right? I think it's one of the things that's occurred to me in the time that I've been doing this. This all came from a conversation that I was having with Walida, and she was like, "Yo, I think this is what you do," and I was like, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about right now. That's not a thing. That's not actually a thing to do. You can't just talk to people. That's not." No, yeah, I think coffee with people's your thing. I'm like, I think you're. I think. Okay, we'll talk about that. And then a pandy came, and found myself here. But all that to say, like, I really don't have any written questions at all, honestly, right? Like, from the beginning, it's like each of these come from the things that I'm curious about the path, about the people that I either have the opportunity to come into contact with, or who producer Tracy finds and finds to be somebody who's got an exemplary path that is exemplary because it's regular and because we're all people and because we all have regular paths. And sometimes, even in that, we can stumble over things that when we share them, um, can open up more opportunities. A lot of what you're talking about, and hearing that that's how you found your voice, the voice that I heard, is stunning, and not at all what I expected. I love being wrong. I was like, nah, this person been singing their whole goddamn life. There's no way. There's no way. And it's not the first time we were wrong, right? Because the first time I remember the first time I asked you about singing, I was like, "Do you even sing secular music ever? Like, is that allowed? I don't know. Like, what are we talking here?" Does that question come to you a lot? Do people come with you with that?
They used to, because I did. I mean, for a large portion of my singing life, I only sung in church, and so until I started doing gospel Christmas with the Organ Symphony, and when I did that, it was the first time I had been in a setting that was different than church,
Mm,
because when you're in at the symphony singing, and it's a room full of mostly white people watching you, they ain't doing that. Come on now, sing that. You, yeah, amen.
right,
You ain't
right,
getting that. They just staring at you.
right,
And so I
right,
remember thinking to myself, like, oh my God, I'm bombing. Like, they are like not engaged. They do not like this. And then when I got done, I mean, it was like this eruption of applause and standing ovation. And I'm like,
nice.
oh, so y'all did like this. Oh, okay, like this was different. And then after that, that's when I started getting invitations. Hey, would you mind coming and singing at the blues festival? And hey, have you ever thought about singing here and doing this? And so I'm
Mm,
like, sure, I'll try. And from there, kind of evolved, and I did start doing stuff, and it was I was low key blackballed for a moment, because in the
mm.
church that's a no no. You can sing outside the church. This is for the Lord and the Lord only. You don't get to go out there and use your
So
gift
that's
for the
still a
world.
discussion. That's still an ongoing discussion in church.
I think it's a lot more liberal now, as in like within the last 5 years or so. But when I
Wow.
was first starting to do it, it was definitely a no no. Um, and so it was
Huh.
really kind of saying, okay, well, first of all, y'all ain't paying me like they paying me, so I ain't gonna not get my money. So if y'all want me to only sing over here, then pay me. But if you ain't gonna pay me, then I'm gonna go out here and sing for these good old white folks and make this money. Like, that's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
And so that's what I did. But I learned so much about me, and I learned so much about me as an artist. I learned so much about me, again, being able to use this platform to really bring other things to the forefront, and issues to the forefront. And so
Mm-hmm.
I realized, like, y'all can say all day long that I'm using this gift in a negative way, but this gift is actually allowing me to empower our community in more ways than you know. I've actually brought funders to organizations. I've actually made connections with. So
Speak to it.
yeah, y'all can say what you want, but I'm gonna use my gift the way that God gave it to me to use, and I feel like He gave it to me to bring about unity. Gave it to me to bring about inspiration and change and social change and so forth. And so I'm gonna do my thing.
I love it. I love it. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Oh my God, this has been so great. I can't even. I just saw Joshua over here telling me the time and shit. Like it's been an hour. We got to wrap. I'm like, all right. Listen, I hope that we will have the opportunity to do this again. If there's ever something that you need to you want to present, you want to talk about, either something happening at the Bravo Youth Orchestra, at Soulful Music, your own projects, something in the community, whatever. Let us know. Let us know. I would love to be under this philosopher's tree with you again. This took way too long, and I hope it doesn't have to
Yeah,
take as much next time.
absolutely. Well, it was a delight to be here, and I'm super grateful for the opportunity. And of course, it's always great to chop it up with you and get to chat. And I'll be you be having me rolling and dying on your posts, especially my favorite my favorite thing to watch you do is just go blocked. It's my favorite thing in the world. I go there just to see like who did Carlos block
Uh,
today.
I actually counted. I saw my following list is just under 5,000 still, and then I looked over at my block list, and my block list is about the same. It's just I don't have a lot of patience for white shenanigans. It's not, and it doesn't matter who doing them. I don't have patience for them.
Right,
I don't have patience for them.
right.
You know, white people, Candace Owens is all of them, and none of them. Hey, family, thank you so much for being here. We definitely gonna have to, as we are able to be in the world again as well, and we start figuring out how to do more of these sorts of things in person. Would love for you to be a part of that as well. And yeah, like I said, thank you for everything that you're doing on behalf of the community. Oh, wait! Before you leave, where can the people find you? Where can the people find you?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Facebook, Alonzo Chadwick Sr. Also, my like page is Alonzo Chadwick and Soulful Music. That's my nickname is Zoe, so I sing soulful, so that's why I created Soulful, and music has a Z. Also, Alonzo Chadwick on Instagram and Alonzo Chadwick on Twitter, and that's kind of just I don't use all of those often. I mostly just use Facebook and Instagram, so follow me on there. And yeah, I normally post what I'm doing and where I'm at and what I'm doing, so just follow me on there.
All right, and we'll get all that in the chats later. Producer Tracy is actually off on a spiritual matter today, but we will get all of that in the chats. And hey, family, please give it up one more time for Alonzo Chadwick Sr. Come on now.
Thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Come on, y'all. What you talking about? Where are there better conversations happening? In the middle of the day on Facebook. Nowhere. Nowhere. Uh, you know what's hilarious is that I just saw that one of my favorite white podcasts. I do have one. It's the only white one that I listen to, so I don't know why I said one of my favorite white ones. One of my favorite podcasts happens to be white. I just wanted to say that they are white. It's Jordan Jesse Go, and they recently have gotten into the live stream on Facebook game, and so um, damn it, it's like hearing Chappelle got into podcasting. Like, what the fuck are you? What are you doing? Leave us alone. Leave us alone. Get the fuck out of here. Go have your deal. No one's canceling you. No one's too woke for you. All right. Hey, we're going to be back on Thursday. It's going to be a produced show. You know the deal. Here's the placard that makes me say this has been another Smoke and Mirrors. And there's so many ways you could follow us. Check us out at IG, Smoke and Mirrors. Nope. We're going to take that back. Rewind. Josh, we're just edit that back. We were censored for a week. I didn't know. I couldn't practice. IG at Smoke and Mirrors CCB. IG at Smoke and Mirrors CCB. That's for the comedy, the culture, the blackness. Hey, Twitter, what is it? Caballo Negrito. That's right, Twitter, Caballo Negrito. For the monolingual amongst us, that translates literally to oh damn it, I didn't have a cute little translation joke either. See, I'm out of practice. I've been off the air. Oh, translates literally to we're back on the air. That's Twitter at Caballo Negrito. Caballo Negrito translates literally to back on the air. Hey, got a question, comment, a suggestion, a thought about a guest who should be here? You can give all of those to us at smokeandmirrorsccb at gmail.com. Smoke and Mirrors CCB for comedy, culture, and blackness at gmail.com. This is a thing that is produced and hosted by myself, Carlos Kareem Wyndham. It is also produced by the one and only Tracy Tatamy, and that makes this a show. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Listen, I can't tell you what to do about the masks anymore, I guess, but I will tell you this. If you're eligible, please get a vaccine. When you do get back home, take care of each other. And remember, even though you don't have to wear a mask, it's no reason not to wash your hands. Muslims were right. 5 times a day can't hurt you. All right. We'll see you again here next time on Thursday. Bye-bye.